Hi there and welcome back. Today we're going to do the 5th episode of Create This Book by Mariah Elizabeth. And our first prompt is going to be create quick sketches. And it says, draw something in 1 minute or less. Repeat drawing different things each time. So I've kind of been avoiding this prompt because I knew it would be kind of hard to make 1 minute sketches look good. So I thought the best bet would be to make this kind of more of a spooky Halloween vibe to make it kind of look a little more natural. Anyways, I have my watch here set for 1 minute, so let's go ahead and get started. So the first sketch that I thought I would do was a spider web because I thought it would be a good first easy sketch to help me warm up and get a feel for how this is going to go. Also, I'm going to speed up this process for you because if I were to do 10 different sketches at a minute long, that would make this prompt alone be 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and do that. And already you could see me sitting there struggling, just staring at it, wanting to fix it up. But I knew that wasn't the challenge, so I just carried on. Oh gosh, so this witch's hat turned out absolutely horrible. I had recently practiced drawing a witch's hat and trying to give it more of a 3D look, but I'm just assuming that because the pressure was on from being timed, that I just was not able to get the proportions correct. And you could just see me sitting there staring at it, just really wanting to rip up this paper and throw it away and just completely start over, because I think a good portion of us artists kind of struggle with perfectionism. I just wanted so badly to try to fix it, but as you can see, I managed to push past those intrusive thoughts and continue on with this prompt. Also, this potion bottle didn't turn out very well because halfway through I remembered that I needed to save a little bit of room at the top to write the prompt back in. So that turned out a little wonky since I made it too short. But that's okay because the next prompt I will be drawing plenty of other potion bottles and they turn out a lot better than that one. And also, I don't know if it's just me, but I do not think that that looks like whipped cream. I think we all know what I'm hinting at here. But anyways, let's glue this into the book. And as you can see, I also added the words around each item just to give the page a little something extra. And now we can go ahead and do our next prompt, which is create stencils. It says cut shapes out of this page, use the cutouts as stencils on the next page. So, if you have seen this particular video right here, you'll know that I made some extra clay pieces specifically for this prompt. And I'm going to use my label paper here. If you bend it in half, you can see that it's cut down the middle so you can peel off each side. And I really like using this paper because this paper almost perfectly fits each page in the book. So I find it easier to do that rather than gluing everything down. Anyways, I'm just using my roller to create some shelves really quick. And I don't need to go all the way across this page because I'm only going to be focusing on this one side at the moment. And then I'm just going to lay down my clay pieces the way that I think they would look best. And then I'm going to start sketching my potion bottles around them. Okay, now that I'm done with my sketches, I can lay this over the book page and start cutting out the stencils. And I'm also going to use the cardboard on this, so that way I don't accidentally cut through the other pages, and hopefully this works out well. And of course it didn't cut all the way through on the other page, but that's okay. We'll just get that cut out really quick. Okay, and now I'm gonna set all these pieces off to the side for this page for later. And I'm also gonna wait to add the plastic. And I'm going to start working on more sketches on the shelf. And then after that, we can start coloring it in. So I'm going to go in with my acrylic paint markers by Twin Marker brand. I know the name on the bag says something else. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, but they are Twin Marker brand. And if you saw this short video, you'll know that I very briefly kind of talked about them, but mostly just tested them out. And personally, I really do enjoy these markers. This isn't sponsored. I just think it's nice to let people know that there is a little bit more affordable options out there that work just as well as the name brand. I mean, I'm using these on clay pieces, and I also use it on this paper and the paper in the book, and I feel like it does very well with blending. I do go in and blend the red and black together on that clay piece, and you can see me wiping the red marker off on the side of the page because you do need to like clean it off if you are gonna blend colors together. But like even though I marked up that other side of the paper, I was still able to use it later on in the video, because that's the nice thing about acrylic markers is that they're very forgiving and you can easily go over any mistakes that you made. So I just went over those markings a couple times with a different marker and it covered it up very well. So yeah, I would say acrylic markers are definitely my favorite art medium to use for that reason. And I really like these markers as well because you don't have to activate them at all. Like you don't have to sit there clicking the pen a million times or pressing it down on the page just to get it to work. They're already ready to go. So yeah, that's really nice. So for the background, I wanted to go with a brick look. So I use a couple of browns and reds, and then I use my black acrylic marker and just kind of dab some little dots and squiggles on each brick, and then I use my finger to kind of blend it in together. Okay, and now the part that's going to be the back side of this page, I'm going to put on this side. But since it's basically the exact same thing that I had just done, I'm not going to make you watch that part, so I'm just going to snap it in really quick. Okay, so it's not perfect, but I feel like it's pretty even. I just used my ruler to try to measure the distance on each side to make it as accurate as I could. But now we can use our cutout shapes from this page onto the next one, so let's go ahead and do that. So I have all my shapes here, and really quickly I'm just going to use this as a reference for my shelves on this page, and then I'm going to lay my stencils out where I think they should go. And I'm not going to lie, I was getting a little tired of making potion bottles, so I decided that I wanted to kind of flip these around and come up with a different idea for each one. And the first sketch that I'm doing is a bottle with teeth floating in it. And then next I'm going to create a jar with spiders in it. And then I just make another potion bottle. And then I thought this one would be fun to flip upside down and turn it into a skull planter. And then I have this one at an angle because I thought it would be good to use as a book. And then I kind of felt like I cheated with the one stencil at the top and changed the shape of the bottle a little too much. So then I retraced it and turned it into a candle. Okay, and I'm gonna do the background the exact same way as the other ones. So I'm gonna tap that in really quick. And as you can see, I also added the outlines because they got a little lost behind the brick wall. And now I'm just gonna fill everything else in. Also, you can really tell how juicy these markers are because my ring light is really reflecting off of them. So it's a little hard to see, so I apologize for that. But at the end of this video, I will definitely have a much better camera angle for you where it won't have all that shine so you can see it a lot better. All right, and now that we're done with that, for the part that we've all been waiting for, I'm gonna start cutting out the plastic for each of these pieces and get them glued in. And now we can add this piece to the page. And you do actually have to be very careful with peeling these off because they're really sticky and they can very easily fold up on themselves. So I was holding my breath a little bit because I was afraid to mess up what I had just done. But luckily it actually went in much easier than I thought it was going to. Anyways, then I just take my acrylic marker and I start filling in the plastic, but I felt like it was looking too dark for what I wanted and that it would make it hard to see the clay pieces on the other side. So then I thought I could go in with my water-based alcohol markers since I had some normal ones and some glitter ones. And then I went in with my watercolor brush, which reminded me that I actually had some shimmery watercolors. So I ended up going in with that instead, and it ended up giving me the exact look that I was going for. And now we can finally work on our last page, and I'm going to set these aside to dry. And for this page, I am going to go with a witch's cauldron because it matches perfectly with those potion bottles and stuff. Okay, and now I'm just going to add the prompt back in really quick, and then add a few highlights. And now we can officially get this one glued into the book as well, and then we can start putting together our potion bottles. I did make the other sides of our bottles just so that way they would have time to dry. And I'm also going to add some glitter, and I also have some of these little diamond pieces from a diamond painting that I thought would be fun to add. So yeah, let's go ahead and start putting them together. All right, and now we can officially add the last piece to our book, but for you, I'm gonna go ahead and skip over to our glamour shots. All right, here is our back page, and here is our front where you can see our clay pieces. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you'll be notified when I share my next one. Bye.